Hi, and welcome back to another daily dose of anime recaps. In this episode, we shall be covering the manga drug-eating genius Mage. This story starts when the main character, Lenoch, is banished to the game world, a massive city called Balkan, after going beyond his magical capabilities. In order to stay alive, he befriends others and investigates the secrets of the closed world to prevent the end of everything. The final showdown takes place at the Demon King Castle, and guess who decides to step out and join the party? Yup, the Demon King himself. He spots our mage friend with a smile, admitting that this human is too tough to handle. Well, at least he's got some sense. Naturally, the Demon King commands his minions to eliminate this intruder, but our mage is ready for whatever spooky tricks they've got up their sleeves. He fortifies his defenses and unleashes his full power, obliterating most of the Demon King's lackeys. Ouch! Talk about a magical beatdown. But hold on, turns out the Demon King has more minions than the mage expected. No worries though, our mage still has a trick or two left. He busts out his bullet dance move, firing at all the brain-dead soldiers in sight. It's raining bullets, folks. Seeing his army being mercilessly mowed down, the Demon King finally decides to make an appearance. But guess what? Our mage is already prepared to take him on. Cue the epic showdown music. The Demon King shows off his powers, trying to impress like it's a talent show. But our mage isn't exactly applauding. In fact, he's getting a tad nervous as the Demon King seems faster than anticipated. Talk about an unexpected dance partner. The Demon King strikes with lightning speed, and if our mage hadn't dodged, it would have been game over for him. Phew, that was a close one. The Demon King's powers are no joke, especially with his fancy barrier absorbing all our mage's attacks. Looks like the dark stone on his head might be the key to victory. Our mage brings out his secret weapon, the Moonlight Bullet, and takes aim at the Demon King's noggin. Boom! The Demon King screams threats like a grumpy cat, but our mage emerges as the champion of this battle. Victory is sweet. But wait, plot twist. Turns out, this was all a game called World 2.0. Our player friend has been having a wild time in this virtual world. Now, he's itching to dive into the upgraded World 3.0, where he can create a super special mage using the game's karma system. Time for a whole new adventure. Just as our mage settles in for a well-deserved snooze, someone rudely interrupts his beauty sleep with some ear-shattering screams. His last memory is of the loading screen before the game started, but he soon lost consciousness and started feeling like he was being sucked inside. As pathetic as it may be, he has become the weak character that he created. A guy is screaming in his face, calling him Lenoch, and he clearly looks unhappy with how he is not getting back to work. This guy is clearly the supervisor, and there are a bunch of guys under his command. Is he running some kind of a sweatshop for men? Our main character has realized now that he is stuck in the body of this Lenoch guy's character, but he manages to get used to the daily routine of the factory in 3 days. He has also realized that his strange new body has many diseases, but he might just overpower them if he can bring out the magical talent that is hidden inside the character. This is when he hears two people talking about a body enhancer called Viper, which has mana in it, and this triggers the mana in Lenoch's body to burst out from within. With this amount of mana, he might just be able to escape as well. When the day for the union members to come to the factory finally arrives, Lenoch is ready with his master plan and acts like he is about to die of fever. The rest of the guys in the factory start acting like he has the most contagious disease in the world, and they are pretty sure that Lenoch won't live long. Okay, it might not be the coolest plan, but there's hope for it to work. A guy named Van gives him the Viper to help him improve his physical strength, which makes Lenoch experience an amazing kind of vitality, which makes him change his escape plan. Lenoch goes down to the basement and comes across the union workers who are loading the shipment on the trucks. he gets the perfect chance to ask them to open the supervisor's office for him, since they have no idea about his fatal illness. When he finally reaches the supervisor's office with the union member, Lenoch uses his light magic to make the union member unconscious in order to proceed with his plan. Soon, he finds new clothes, a gun, and the viper that he came looking for in the first place. However, before he can drink even one drop of the viper, the supervisor comes back to his office to find the half-dead union member on the floor. Lenoch doesn't have enough mana to handle him for now. Therefore, he points the gun at him that freaks him out. The supervisor starts begging him to spare his life, but Lenoch is in no mood to listen to his lies. He shoots the gun and runs out to get a vehicle, which can help him run away from the hellish factory for good. But how is he going to get to a vehicle before someone attacks him? Thankfully, he finds a car before the doors start shutting down and starts it up. A few hurdles do come in his way, but he manages to get rid of everything and finds out that his high mental strength is suppressing his guilt and fear and allowing him to maintain his sanity. He uses the perfect level-headedness, which is his real mage's talent, to escape the factory and ride off into the sunset. Let's hope no one is following him though, because that will be awkward. Plus, he is supposed to be in a game, so where the hell is he driving off to? A few guards are running after a mysterious figure, but he is too fast for them to catch. He jumps off the high-rise building, and the guards assume that he is dead. But where is his corpse? Meanwhile, Lenoch arrives in the magic engineering city of Balkan and is fascinated by how it has a totally different background from the world 2.0. Everything has a little mana mixed to it here, and he knows that there might be a huge mana contribution to this world's civilization. First order of business for him is to find a place to rest. Therefore, he goes to a hotel and crashes on the bed. He wakes up in the middle of the night feeling a bit queasy, and he eats his food. His restlessness might be due to the viper that he keeps gulping down, and it's clear that it has other side effects apart from the constant nausea that Lenoch has. When the morning light arrives, he finds out that he is about to go broke and needs more money if he wants to survive. He takes a shower and goes out to think, and comes up with only illegal options to earn more money. He really likes the idea of beating up criminals and taking their money. Therefore, he uses his mana ears to listen to the various conversations all around him and finally finds the perfect target. In his mind, preying on criminals is justified, which might not be the worst idea in the world. He follows his target after drinking the viper and overhears them talking about all kinds of criminal activities, which makes it even easier for him to get rid of all of his morals and steal their money while he gets ready for some action. Two criminals are threatening to beat up the third one after accusing him of stealing their money, and it looks like they are about to cut him up to sell his parts. However, Lenoch arrives right on time and deals with the two bullies. He spares the third one though, since he feels bad for him on some level. He obviously takes their cash and finds a Dykes laser cutter that has been remodeled for use as a weapon. Therefore, he puts it in his pocket as well. The more self-defense items he has, the better. And the knife will surely be useful in all the sneak attacks that he might need to use while dealing with criminals. No one fights fair in this world. Why should he? Later, he turns to the third criminal and asks him if he knows where he can find some illegal work, and it will be even better if it's something that uses magic. Is it smart for him to announce that he is looking for work that includes crime? Because it definitely makes him look suspicious. At night, he goes to the place that the third criminal tells him about, and it looks like he has sent him to a regular-looking bar. He steps inside and asks the bartender for some work when a girl steps out from behind. She doesn't think that Lenoch looks like a mage and introduces herself as Jenny, but Lenoch tells her that his name is Van. At this point, he proves that he is a mage by showing her his lightning magic, which is totally rare in this world. Jenny is evidently impressed, and she offers him the work of a bounty hunter. His first target is a guy named Taylor Evans, and he uses his blood sample for a common magic trick to locate him. Lenoch has found Taylor Evans in an abandoned building, and the criminal is clearly shocked to see that someone has reached his hiding place in a matter of minutes. Lenoch has even come prepared to defend himself against any incoming attacks, which makes him the most careful mage ever. However, he is a bit taken aback when Taylor starts running, giving him no chance to attack or follow him. Therefore, he uses the sound wave energy to catch him. Running away was not the best idea that he had, and he is about to regret this decision. This is when a sniper shoots a bullet at them and comes to the conclusion that the sniper is after Taylor. Maybe the sniper is trying to silence him or is a scavenger. Lenoch can't afford to have people think that the bounty hunter Van that he is pretending to be is a weak person. Therefore, he kills Taylor himself. He doesn't like people interfering in his business at all, and it will make it even harder for him to stay safe if people follow him without him knowing about it. Now, he turns back to find the sniper and detects his mana to determine his location while the sniper looks at him in a state of shock and panic. Lenoch uses the lightning magic to threaten the sniper and makes him run away after giving him a clear warning. He is glad that he didn't kill the guy though, since he just wants people to be scared of messing with him, and a warning is enough to make them stay away, right? Later, he brings Taylor's body back to the bar, where Jenny asks him about his unusual talent of finding out these criminals so quickly. He must have crazy skills, right? Jenny wants to continue working with Lenoch after making sure that he is capable. But for now, she tells him to go back so she can give Taylor's body back to the Achilles Company. After he leaves, Jenny finds out that Lenoch's mission was recorded, and she seems impressed by the recording too. The next day, Lenoch goes to the library to find out about the magic system of this world. He starts going through all the books and comes across different levels of mages, but the concept of common magic seems to have completely disappeared. He remembers using it in World 2.0 though, and doesn't understand how he is still able to use it in this world when the concept doesn't even exist. He must be quite talented at what he does if he is still able to channel the learnings of the magical powers from the previous world. When he is about to give up, a girl comes over asking if he wants to become a mage and starts lecturing him on the importance of education. Lenoch is sure that she is an odd woman and finds out that her name is Eris, who is a chair professor at the university. That explains why she randomly just started to give a speech on education of the mages, because it's clear that it's an important part of her job. He ignores the lady for now, but can't seem to shake the weird feeling that she gave him. He has no idea if she was supposed to help him or tell him straight to his face about how uncultured he is. He is clearly having second thoughts about himself. A few minutes later, he goes out to buy the groceries when another girl stops him asking if he is guilty of something since he keeps glancing at his mana pattern. Lenoch is confused after the girl questions him, but soon he finds out that mana patterns work like fingerprints in this world, which means that they can be used to detect a person's identity as well as the spells that they have used. If it's that easy to detect someone's identity, then Lenoch will surely have to do something about his mana patterns. He changes the topic after the girl tells him that she is the owner of the vegetable stall as she likes to grow vegetables in her free time. She must be quite rich if her hobby is growing vegetables, right? He is starting to find her really pretty as well. This is when she tells him that his mana is quite unique, which makes him a bit uncomfortable. Therefore, he quickly leaves her shop as he doesn't want to be recognized by a complete stranger. He forgot to buy the vegetable though, which means that healthy eating habits is not as important to him as he thought. He spends the next few days in his room, researching magic in order to improve the efficiency of the common magic he already knows. However, his body still feels weird, and he has to depend on drugs, but he needs a proper identity and enough money to get better drugs too. He goes over to Jenny's bar to get the fake identity, where she gives him another job. This time, it's a business-related request, and apparently a company called Barrett's wants him to hack their competition's data or destroy their factory. Lenoch accepts the job, but finds out that he has to do it with a masked dude named Dylan O'Casey. who is supposed to be his partner. This new guy is supposed to be the Deadpool of this world. Or are we just imagining things? The factory is located in District 42, which is just the more developed part of the city. Dylan and Lenoch are walking through the streets, and it looks like Lenoch is a bit skeptical about his new partner who is trying to recruit him, since there's no harm in befriending as many mages as possible. However, Lenoch tells him that he has no interest in being recruited until he gets bored of working with Jenny, which is a good enough reply. Of course, Dylan thinks that Jenny and Lenoch have feelings for each other, as he can't believe that Jenny acts completely differently around him, and even offered her share of the profit to Lenoch. Focusing back on their mission, they go over to the factory, where the security doesn't look too tight. This is when Dylan tells him that the security troopers are from 888, who are all ex-criminals and thugs, which means that they are on the lower level when it comes to security companies. But doesn't this fact make them more deadly since they already don't mind hurting people? They strategize their exact plan of action and start taking down the security troopers one by one. Dylan runs around all of the troopers, which makes them confused and manages to kill them all with his spear. Meanwhile, Lenoch enters the factory and comes in front of a civilian who tries to stop him. He clearly doesn't want to hurt an innocent person. Therefore, he only uses some magic to make him unconscious and throws his body out of the factory, as he doesn't want civilians to end up getting killed in the fire that he is about to start. He might be a criminal now, but he clearly has morals that set him apart from the average thugs. Dylan has killed almost all of the security troopers, but soon looks around to find himself surrounded by a new group of the troopers. This makes him feel good since it means that he's really good at what he does. Maybe he should start taking his sweet time and enjoy the process more than the results. Of course, he kills them all in no time as well, and it's obvious that he is pretty skilled at killing people, and he might just have no control over how long it takes for him to win a certain fight. On the other hand, Lenoch arrives at the gas system of the factory and releases just enough gas to blow up the entire area. All he has to do now is light a spark, which isn't too difficult for him since he is a mage. However, why is he using a gas leak to set it off, since a bomb would have just done the job faster than this plan? He combines the simple common magic and sets a timer for the fire to go off so that he and Dylan can leave before the explosion. He puts a lock on the spark that he has created that will only unlock when the timer ends. How cool is it to have a self-timer on a magical spark, or a magical bomb, which sounds more accurate in this situation? He turns back to leave, but hears a strange noise outside that catches his attention. Dylan also hears the strange noise and turns around to find a crocodile man waiting for him. It looks like the factory has hired this weirdo for protection. Therefore, Dylan gets ready for another battle. But it looks like he knows that it won't be as easy as dealing with the rest of the security. Lenoch, the poor soul stuck spectating this disastrous spectacle, can't help but shake his head as Dylan's feeble attempts to take down the crocodile-looking fellow continue to fall flat. Time is ticking away, and they need to escape before the factory blows sky high. But alas, Dylan's attacks keep missing, while the crocodile guy effortlessly sidesteps and counterattacks with a grin that screams, "Is that all you've got?" Lenoch can practically see the thought bubble above Dylan's head, filled with delusions of grandeur about his fighting skills. It's like watching a squirrel challenge a heavyweight boxer. It's just not a fair fight. Realizing the gravity of the situation, quite literally, with an impending explosion, Lenoch contemplates stepping in to save the day. But he wisely decides to cook up a plan first, because, let's face it, this crocodile dude is no ordinary garden reptile. Perhaps Dylan should have brushed up on his combat skills instead of binge-watching crocodile wrestling on TV. In the meantime, Dylan's attacks resemble a monkey flailing around with a rubber chicken. Lenoch, being the loyal friend he is, attempts to distract their scaly adversary with a dazzling display of lightning magic. But But it's like trying to impress a snobby poodle with a squeaky toy. No effect whatsoever. Just when Dylan manages to land a hit with his trusty spear, it's as if the crocodile guy is auditioning for a slapstick comedy. He chuckles heartily, shrugs off the blow like a pesky mosquito bite, and sends poor Dylan soaring through the air, crashing into the unforgiving factory walls. Talk about a literal reality check. Now it's Lenoch's turn to face the music. Armed with his thunderous magical powers, he unleashes an electrifying assault on the crocodile dude. But to his dismay, it's like trying to zap a rubber ducky in the bathtub. Absolutely no effect. It's almost as if the crocodile guy moonlights as a human lightning rod. With no other choice, Lenoch decides to pull a Houdini on the crocodile man. He hatches a plan to trap him in the factory, hoping to buy some time to rescue poor, battered Dylan. As Lenoch carries his unconscious friend, the factory explodes in a grand spectacle of chaos and destruction. One can only imagine the crocodile guy's surprise as he becomes the unexpected star of his very own fireworks show. And so, amidst the rubble and laughter, Lenoch emerges with Dylan slung over his shoulder, their escape mirroring a scene from an action comedy flick. They may not have defeated the crocodile guy, but they sure know how to make an exit, literally. As Dylan regains consciousness, he feels like he's been through a blender, every bone in his body aching and protesting against movement. He glances over at Lenoch, who casually chugs down another Viper potion like it's a refreshing summer beverage. Dylan's eyes widen in disbelief. Drinking that stuff is supposed to come with more side effects than a roller coaster ride through a tornado. With a hearty belch, Lenoch sets the empty bottle down and flashes a mischievous grin at Dylan. "You fought that crocodile guy like a pro, my friend," Lenoch exclaims, oblivious to Dylan's agony. "But hey, heads up, I'm pretty sure he's still kicking. His name's Crokin, by the way. A war mercenary, working for the illustrious Pandemonium, those delightful folks at the Global Criminal Organization." Before Dylan can even process this information, Crokin emerges from the fiery wreckage of the factory, like a phoenix with scales. In one swift motion, he delivers a knockout punch to poor Dylan, sending him back into the realm of unconsciousness. It's crystal clear to Lenoch that he needs to end this brawl pronto. With a determined glint in his eye, Lenoch conjures a gravity bind, hoping to restrict Crokin's movements. But to his dismay, the crafty crocodile guy wriggles and writhes, escaping the gravity's clutches with ease. It's like watching a slippery eel on a playground slide, impossible to catch. Realizing that he needs a better plan, Lenoch furrows his brow and ponders his next move. It's clear he's not holding anything back. His life is hanging in the balance. He takes a deep breath, mustering all the energy he can, preparing for his grandest lightning attack yet. If Crokin thinks he's seen fireworks before, he's in for a shock, literally. With a booming crackle, Lenoch unleashes his electrifying assault, illuminating the battlefield with a dazzling display of power. It's like a fireworks show on steroids. But as the smoke clears, Lenoch's heart sinks. Crokin, that slippery reptilian, has somehow weathered the storm, looking more annoyed than charred. Lenoch grins weakly, trying to mask his disappointment. He quips, unable to resist a pun even in the face of danger. He knows he needs a game changer, a plan that'll make Crokin wish he never crossed paths with this lightning-wielding duo. And so, with battered bodies and a dash of humor, Lenoch and Dylan brace themselves for the next round. Crokin's scaly brow furrows in confusion as he tries to anticipate Lenoch's next move. But before he can react, Lenoch unleashes his prepared lightning strike, illuminating the battlefield with a dazzling display of electricity. It's like a scene from a cheesy superhero movie, complete with dramatic music and flashy special effects. Not content with just one trick up his sleeve, Lenoch follows up with a frosty surprise, his Frost Soul ability. He freezes Kroken in his tracks, turning him into a frosty popsicle. It's like a winter wonderland, minus the hot cocoa and cozy sweaters. But as the icy grip tightens around Kroken, Lenoch's own strength begins to wane. Meanwhile, poor Dylan is left shivering like a penguin in Antarctica. His teeth chatter uncontrollably as he suggests they make a swift exit before Kroken breaks free from his icy prison. It's hard to come up with a cunning escape plan when your brain feels like a snow cone. Just as Lenoch starts to panic, realizing he's depleted his mana reserves, he remembers one last desperate option, an ace up his sleeve, or rather, in his pocket. He reaches in and pulls out a small, inconspicuous gun. Now, combining mana with firearms may seem like something out of a fantasy action movie directed by a caffeine-fueled unicorn, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Lenoch focuses his remaining mana into the gun and takes aim at the seemingly incapacitated Kroken. He pulls the trigger, expecting the ultimate coup de grace. But lo and behold, Kroken falls to the ground without a scratch. Lenoch's jaw drops, hitting the floor with a resounding thud. It's like watching a cockroach survive a nuclear explosion, utterly perplexing and slightly infuriating. Just when things seem dire for our lightning-wielding hero, a ray of hope. Well, a girl named Evelyn makes her entrance. With an air of authority, she admonishes Kroken, informing him that he has crossed a line this time. It's like the universe decided to send in a backup dancer just when the stage was about to collapse. Evelyn, with a skeptical gaze, accuses Kroken of blowing up the factory. But Kroken, ever the cunning creature, points the finger at Dylan and Lenoch, claiming they're the true troublemakers. Evelyn, however, isn't buying it. She saw Kroken about to bust their heads before her timely arrival. It's like a game of blame it on the crocodile, but Evelyn is no fool. To Lenoch's surprise, Kroken opts to flee rather than face off against Evelyn. Clearly, this lady packs a punch. As Kroken scampers away, Lenoch watches in awe, his jaw hanging so low it could trip him up. Who knew this seemingly harmless lady from the vegetable stall had such power? As Evelyn turns around, Lenoch's eyes widen in disbelief. It's the same lady he had met at the vegetable stall. Fate certainly has a sense of humor, introducing him to a powerful ally in the most unexpected way. It's like finding out your favorite fruit vendor moonlights as a superhero. Evelyn imparts some wisdom about mastering his magic before bidding Lenoch farewell. With newfound knowledge and a newfound respect for the lady at the vegetable stall turned powerful ally, Lenoch finally heads back, feeling like he stumbled into a surreal adventure. Unfortunately, the aftermath of the incident takes a toll on Lenoch's health. He falls ill for a whole week, realizing he needs better medications to recover. Determined to collect his hard-earned payment, he trudges over to Jenny's bar, where he's greeted with an icy stare and a question about his whereabouts for the past 10 days. It's clear Jenny was hoping he had met an untimely demise, a rather warm welcome, to say the least. After enduring Jenny's frosty reception, Lenoch manages to secure his payment, but Jenny, ever the gossip queen, spills the beans about Evelyn being a direct agent for the state government. She also suggests Lenoch visit a friend of hers to obtain a fake ID. However, it seems this friend has another favor in mind. The adventure never stops, does it? The next moment, Lenoch finds himself in the presence of the friend recommended by Jenny. But wait, Lenoch has gone blonde and is sporting a pair of glasses? Did he ask Jenny for a full-on makeover along with the fake ID? Lenoch eagerly hands over a wad of cash to the ID expert, who practically salivates at the sight of so much money. The expert's eyes widen with astonishment. It's like he stumbled upon a hidden treasure trove. With an air of confidence, he begins the intricate process of fabricating an entirely new identity for Lenoch. "All right, Evan, it is," the expert exclaims, his fingers dancing across the keyboard as he updates the basic details on the fake ID. Lenoch nods approvingly, ready to embrace his new persona. Emerging from the expert's lair, Lenoch is back to looking like his usual self. No more Blondie with the spectacles. He proudly dials Jenny's number on his new phone, excited to share the good news. It's like playing a game of Guess Who with a twist. Everyone's got secret identities now. As Jenny picks up the call, her voice carries a newfound warmth, almost like they're old pals catching up. She suggests Lenoch find a part-time job, but he can't help but wonder if there's more to her sudden friendliness. Trusting Jenny completely feels about as safe as hugging a cactus, prickly and full of surprises. But just as Lenoch begins to doubt Jenny's intentions, she drops a bombshell. She directs him to the 30S district, revealing that there's a Viper expert he needs to meet. It's like stepping into a Viper pit without the anti-venom, dangerous and thrilling all at once. With some free time on his hands, Lenoch ventures into the 31 district, tiptoeing through a sprawling botanical garden that feels more like an untamed jungle. Eventually, he stumbles upon a room where a man concocts Viper solutions. The man's gaze meets Lenox's, and it's clear he hasn't received the memo from Jenny about welcoming customers. And so, Lenoch finds himself facing a Viper expert who's less than thrilled to meet him. To the Viper guy's surprise, Lenoch's willingness to pay generously instantly erases any reservations he might have had. With open arms and an open wallet, he welcomes Lenoch into his Viper den. Lenoch wastes no time, sharing his desire for a similar drug that enhances his mana. As the Viper guy reveals that the affordable Viper can amplify Lenoch's magical abilities, Lenoch's eyes widen with a mix of astonishment and excitement. On the flip side, Jenny ponders over Lenoch's mysterious silence regarding his magic. She's caught wind from Dylan that Lenoch is no ordinary lightning mage, and her curiosity peaks. Knowing she can't dig too deep without raising suspicions, she shifts her focus to finding mercenary jobs for Lenoch. After all, offering him enticing work is the best way she can support him. Plus, it keeps her entertained with a side of danger. Meanwhile, the diligent Viper guy has crafted a higher quality drug, one that will grant Lenoch a solid 6 hours of reinforced physical prowess. Satisfied with his creation, the Viper guy bids Lenoch farewell as soon as he secures enough supply of the new drug. As Lenoch heads out, his mind buzzing with newfound strength, a phone call disrupts the moment. It's Jenny, and she means business, quite literally. While Dre Krimgar and the rest of the mercenaries engage in a crucial meeting, Jenny reaches out, seeking work for Lenoch. And so, Lenoch finds himself armed with newfound powers and a phone call that could change the course of his adventure. With a new day dawning, Lenoch finds himself the proud owner of a shiny new house that's in dire need of protection. Like a wizard with a real estate knack, he raises a shield around his humble abode, ready to ward off any unwanted intruders. Just as he finishes fortifying his new residence, his trusty phone buzzes to life. It's Jenny, summoning him to her place. Lenoch, intrigued by the call, checks the latest news on his phone, making sure he's up to date on the world's shenanigans. Arriving at the bar, Lenoch finds Jenny awaiting him with a serious expression, a stark contrast to the usual lively atmosphere. She unveils the mission proposed by the Krimgar mercenary group, an epic quest to reclaim a building, with a need for a mage's fiery support. As Jenny delves into the mission's background, Lenoch's mind races, weighing the pros and cons. After careful consideration, and perhaps a small nudge from the dangling carrot of a high reward, Lenoch decides to take on the job. A few hours later, Lenoch arrives at the mercenary group's location, where a motley crew of warriors awaits. They eye him with curiosity and anticipation. Dre, the group's leader, takes the stage, giving everyone a detailed briefing of the mission. Units are formed, strategies are discussed, and Lenoch can't help but notice Dre's natural charisma. The way he commands attention is like watching a charismatic chicken wrangler in action, strange yet undeniably effective. As Lenoch listens to Dre's instructions, he can't help but trust the man's leadership, despite his peculiar mannerisms. He hopes his instincts about Dre's competence are correct. Otherwise, they'll be in for a wild ride. It's like placing a bet on a donkey at the races. Either they're going to win big or end up with a face full of dirt. And so, in this whimsical world of magical shields, bar rendezvous, and charismatic leaders, Lenoch embarks on his next grand adventure. With a commanding voice, Dre barks out orders, sending the mercenaries into action. They arm themselves and form a determined line, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Lenoch can't help but notice the desperation for mages in this world. It seems like they're as rare as unicorns on roller skates. It's a realization that sparks a mischievous plan in his mind. As they approach the building they're tasked to reclaim, Lenoch's keen senses tingle, indicating the presence of another mage nearby. Like a bloodhound on a trail of sausages, he quickly pinpoints the mage's location. Without hesitation, Lenoch springs into action, eliminating the unsuspecting mage with swift precision. It's like a game of magical whack-a-mole, but with higher stakes and fewer plush toys. Eager to share the news, Lenoch relays the information to Dre, who takes charge, leading his mercenary army into the building. Meanwhile, Lenoch takes a moment to test the effects of his new Viper concoction. He gulps it down, feeling its potency course through his veins. Energized and ready for action, he prepares to provide the much-needed fire support. As the battle rages on, the mercenaries face a formidable opponent, an opposing army equally prepared for the clash. It's like a medieval party crasher situation, only with less ballroom dancing and more sword-swinging chaos. The odds are stacked against them, making it difficult for the mercenaries to breach the building's defenses. Suddenly, a particularly determined opponent breaks through the chaos, charging directly towards Lenoch with the intent to silence the mage causing all the ruckus. It's like watching a bull aim for a particularly snarky matador, only with less red capes and more sparks flying. Lenoch, never one to shy away from a showdown, grins and readies himself for the incoming attack. He welcomes his would-be assailant with open arms. Well, not literally. That would be quite awkward in a battle of magic and might. It's like an impromptu dance-off, except instead of salsa moves, they exchange lightning bolts and fireballs. And so, in this whimsical clash of mages and mercenaries, Lenoch finds himself facing an opponent fueled by determination and a touch of misguided bravery. In a quick display of precision, Lenoch shoots down his would-be attacker, leaving a stunned Dre in awe of his mage skills. Lenoch, the epitome of coolness among these mercenaries, has certainly left an impression. They quickly refocus on their mission, pushing forward as Unit 2 finally enters the building, guns blazing and aiming to take down any opposition in their path. Lenoch joins the charge, entering the building alongside Dre and the rest of their unit. Together, they clear the first floor with ruthless efficiency, leaving no room for stragglers or unwanted house guests. The enemy forces quickly learn that they've picked the wrong building to mess with. However, amidst the chaos, Lenoch receives an update from Kithel. A tense standoff still ensues on the second floor. With determination burning in his eyes, Lenoch pushes forward, ready to lend his magical prowess to their comrades in need. It's like a game of magical chess, where every move counts and victory hangs in the balance. Dre, having witnessed Lenox's skills firsthand, can't help but fantasize about keeping the mage on their team forever. He envisions Lenoch as the mage with the swagger, the one who will make their enemies cower in fear. But alas, the realities of their meager budget quickly bring him back to earth, and the topic remains unspoken, like an elephant in the room with a no-budget sign around its neck. Just as they proceed with the rest of the plan, a message from Wien interrupts the scene. Unit 2 is in trouble, and it's time to ride to the rescue. Dre and his unit move swiftly, following the distress call. Upon arrival, they find Unit 2 injured and in need of aid. Lenoch wastes no time in alerting Dre that the perpetrator who attacked Unit 2 is still lurking in the vicinity. With a devious smile, a man with white hair welcomes the arrival of these new guests. It's like stumbling upon a mysterious tea party hosted by the Mad Hatter's equally eccentric cousin, Trouble with a side of enigmatic smiles. And so, in this whimsical dance of bullets, magic, and unexpected encounters, Lenoch finds himself facing a new adversary. With his trademark humor intact, he stands ready to protect his comrades and face whatever challenges await. As Dre locks eyes with the strange man, the man reveals that his group had invested a fortune in the very project they just obliterated. He's as salty as a pickle left in the sun. Words are exchanged between Dre and the bitter retiree, tensions escalating with each passing second. And then, like a twisted magician, the man retrieves a purple pill from his pocket and swiftly swallows it. In an instant, turning him into a bloodthirsty monster. The monstrous creature leaps into action, attacking the gathered mercenaries with relentless ferocity. But Lenoch, ever the keen observer, notices a pattern. It seems to derive its power from the beating hearts of its victims. Lenoch's mind races, contemplating the dark arts at play. Could this creature be a vampire? Or perhaps a bloodia? One thing's for sure, black magic is afoot. Killing the creature proves to be an arduous task. Lenoch realizes he must step up and lend a lightning-charged hand. He unleashes a powerful bolt of electricity, aimed directly at the monster. But in a blink of an eye, the creature redirects its focus, zeroing in on Lenoch with a vengeance. Lenoch becomes the unfortunate recipient of the monster's undivided attention. Lenoch taps into his deepest reserves of strength and magic. Lightning crackles around them as they clash, each strike echoing through the battleground. It's a showdown that would make even the most epic action movie director drool with excitement, magic, monsters, and a mage, giving it his all. Lenoch's lightning magic seems useless against the monster guy. He whips out his trusty gun and aims it straight at the guy's head. He shoots him right in the eye, while the other mercenaries prepare to stop the monster from getting any closer to Lenoch. Dre, the boss man, orders them to kill the beast. But hold up, Lenoch interrupts the chaos, shouting to everyone that this guy is using black magic, which has scrambled his brain like a sunny-side-up egg. After pondering for a moment, Lenoch has an idea. He needs to rid himself of the black magic power that's twisting the monster's noggin. How? By using his own mana to scratch it all out. He turns toward the guy, retrieves a black ball that's the source of the black magic from inside his own body, and reassures everyone that things will be fine now. He figures he should keep the black ball for research purposes. Suddenly, one of the mercenaries pipes up, telling Lenoch he's an amazing mage. Maybe this guy secretly wants to become a mage too. It turns out Lenoch and the mercenary have more in common than they thought. Later, Dre expresses his gratitude to Lenoch for lending a hand in the mission and hopes they can work together again. Lenoch admits that Dre is a cool businessman. Maybe they can grab coffee sometime. Kithel believes they should have just hired Lenoch from the start. But Dre, ever the optimist, hopes they never have to face off against Lenoch in the future. Lenoch saunters into Jenny's bustling bar, only to be greeted by an excited Dylan who gleefully informs him of his newfound fame. However, Jenny swiftly smacks Dylan on the back of his head, silencing him. With a cheeky smile, she turns to Lenoch, eager for updates on his recent mission. Lenoch nonchalantly reveals that it was a cakewalk compared to the Kroken monster ordeal he had to face. To Lenoch's surprise, Jenny warns him to steer clear of the scavengers from District 20S, as his recent job has made him quite popular among their ranks. It seems he's gained quite the reputation, with people dubbing him the Lightning Mage. Jenny hands Lenoch a stack of job requests, further highlighting the high demand for a skilled mage like him. It appears that a multitude of people are in dire need of his lightning expertise. As night falls, Lenoch's fragile body struggles to find solace as he battles the unpleasant side effects of the viper he ingested. Poor guy can't catch a break. He opens the quest list provided by Jenny, eyeing the options. He immediately excludes any quests involving rival mercenaries or gangs with looming deadlines. What remains is a quest from a pharmaceutical company, which triggers his memory of the coveted drug, Stamonia. Despite the uncertainty of obtaining the drug, Lenoch decides to accept the quest, embracing the unpredictability of his journey. Days turn into weeks as he hunts down wanted criminals, determined to fulfill his mission. Returning to Jenny's bar, Lenoch finds her already well aware of his decision to accept Amnak's offer. As if on cue, a stranger strikes up a conversation, casually dropping the bombshell that there's a juicy reward on Lenoch's head. Well, it's no surprise, really, considering he's been tirelessly hunting down wanted criminals. Lenoch is intrigued by Sebastian, who possesses supernatural powers like him. Sebastian claims to do similar work as Jenny, but Lenoch is puzzled by the absence of any detectable magical energy from him. Perhaps Sebastian's abilities stem from psychological skills? Jenny returns to the scene, looking displeased with Sebastian encroaching on her territory. To everyone's surprise, Sebastian hands Jenny a conscription, a call-up order for independent businesses due to the upcoming visit of the Philonom delegation. It's a significant event, leaving Jenny speechless and impressed by Sebastian's audacity. Jenny suggests that Lenoch consider working with Sebastian. It's like a bartender offering career advice to a budding magician. Suddenly, a new visitor arrives, seeking Jenny's attention. They move to a private room where the man, Lewin Sage, introduces himself as Amnak's sales manager. He reveals a covert operation involving the development of a tranquilizer that a district representative and a gang tried to steal. The completed samples are now in District 54, and Lenoch's mission is to retrieve them and submit them to the patent office before the spies catch on. Lenoch, aware of the challenges ahead, wants to negotiate a higher reward. Sage agrees, and they waste no time in heading to the storage location. There, a group of unhappy individuals awaits, demanding more assistance for the job. Meanwhile, Lenoch prepares himself, fueled by the effects of the Viper he drank. It's like preparing for a powerful performance, ready to prove his worth. Lenoch steps out of the car while his teammates continue their weird arguments with Sage. Desperate to restore some peace and quiet, Lenoch takes matters into his own hands. With a mischievous grin, he conjures a crackling lightning bolt. The loudest guy instantly clams up, finally aware that Lenoch is here to lend his magical expertise. But wait! Another mage emerges from the crowd, wielding fiery magic with gusto. Lenoch can sense the other guy's meager mana reserves. Inevitably, a showdown unfolds between fire and lightning. The clash of elements fills the air as the two mages lock eyes. However, with Lenoch's impressive mana reserves, in a matter of minutes, he easily bests the fire mage, leaving him singed and sorry. With the situation under control, Lenoch dismisses Sage and heads inside the storage house in search of the precious sample. Aware of the looming gang threat, he's determined to neutralize them before they can come after him. Swift and focused, he instructs his teammates to split into different units and patrol the surroundings. While he's confident the gang may struggle to locate the place, Lenoch takes no chances. He reinforces the building with a cleverly crafted barrier, ensuring its safety. Surprisingly, the fire mage approaches Lenoch, offering his heartfelt apologies. Touched by the genuine remorse, Lenoch considers giving him a chance to make amends. Lenoch leans over to the fire mage, whispering a mischievous command. The fire mage readily agrees to carry out the fiery plan. Later, as Lenoch practices his magic inside the storage house, he realizes he's running low on Vipers. It could be a problem if the gang members decide to split into multiple groups. An army of gangsters armed with magic is not something he wants to face without his trusty Vipers. Suddenly, loud noises echo from outside, jolting Lenoch out of his thoughts. He uses his mana to assess the situation, discovering that a whopping 150 people are charging in their direction. They're closing in fast, but hopefully not all of them possess magical abilities. Fingers crossed for a few non-magic wielding stragglers in the mix. Lenoch steps out, learning that the gang members are coming from the back, likely with plans to break down the walls. His keen eyes spot two individuals emitting intense heat, and he deduces that one of them must be a mage. Intrigued by the prospect, Lenoch raises his voice, taunting the gang to come inside and claim what they desire. He instructs his team members to close their eyes and shoot once the gang is within range. His teammates obediently follow his strange instructions, even though the idea behind closing their eyes seems stupid. As anticipation builds, lighting the entire storage house in a brilliant display of light. As the gang stumbles into the storage house, they're hit with a blinding display of Lenoch's magic. Their eyes feel like they're about to pop out of their sockets, leaving them too bewildered and frightened to flee. It's like a magician's trick gone wrong, leaving everyone in a state of discombobulation. Taking advantage of the chaos, Lenoch's puppet, the Fire Mage, charges forward, ready to turn anyone attempting to escape into human torches. Meanwhile, Lenoch himself decides to unleash his own barrage of attacks, chanting the incantation for chain lightning. He figures it's his best bet in this situation, and he's not one to shy away from a flashy performance. While the rest of his team members continue to engage the gang in combat, it's clear that Lenoch is the one destined to face their leaders. Standing at a distance, the gang leaders reveal themselves. The mage, named Grime, can't fathom how Amnak could afford such a powerful mage like Lenoch. On the other hand, Gile, the other leader, seems uninterested in the whole mission. They find Lenoch's quirky smile a tad unsettling, but undeniably intriguing. Lenoch quickly discerns that these leaders have no regard for their subordinates' lives. Gile is convinced they could wipe out Lenoch in an instant if they desired. In turn, Lenoch realizes that Grime doesn't actually belong to the gang. Gile, annoyed by Lenoch's persistent snickering, can't wait to get rid of him. Just as the tension mounts, Grime waves his magical staff, resembling a wand, and starts conjuring barrier magic to seal off any escape routes. Feeling cornered, Lenoch resorts to revealing his secret weapon, the gun. This infuriates Grime, who mocks Lenoch for relying on his little party tricks. Suddenly, Lenoch notices Gile's distinct canine teeth, leading him to conclude that Gile is a peculiar mixed blood, explaining his insatiable bloodlust. In a startling transformation, Gile morphs into a monstrous form, ready to wreak havoc. Seeing this, Lenoch braces himself for an intense one-on-one showdown. As expected, Gile has transformed into a drooling, out-of-control werewolf. Saliva drips from his mouth, but Lenoch remains unfazed, unafraid of the scary spectacle before him. He boldly challenges Gile to come and face him head-on. With a wild charge, Gile lunges towards Lenoch, slamming into the shield that surrounds him. It's a temporary barrier that can withstand heavy blows, and Lenoch smirks, ready to execute his planned attack with precision. Panic begins to creep into Gile's eyes after just one strike. Lenoch refuses to let go of the upper hand he has gained. Calling upon the power of thunder, he unleashes a spell aptly named Thunder Calling. It crashes down upon Gile with brutal force, leaving him looking worse for wear, almost half dead. Meanwhile, Grime, the spectator of this spectacle, has done nothing to aid his friend. Lenoch suspects Grime has been biding his time, preparing a powerful spell. Curiosity piqued, Lenoch eagerly awaits the unveiling of Grime's magic, and there it is, the spell that unleashes a mighty shockwave. A fan favorite in World 2.0. This spell is no party trick. It aims to strike everyone within Grime's vicinity. Grime questions whether Lenoch is wielding some artifact that grants him such incredible power. Is Grime trying to catch Lenoch off guard with his trash talk? But Lenoch is no fool. He sees through Grime's anxiety and lack of trust in his own senses. Lenoch concludes that there's no need to entertain Grime's nonsensical blabber any longer. After all, who has time for trash talk when there are spells to be cast and battles to be won? As Grime struggles to keep up with Lenoch's power, Lenoch manages to land a blow on Grimes' wrist, leaving him stunned and wondering how Lenoch could execute such a high-level attack. Little does Grime know, Lenoch has been honing this skill for quite some time, making his victory all the more disappointing. Lenoch expected a more thrilling battle, but alas, it turned out to be rather boring. In a moment of desperation, Grime reveals that there are no more gang members lurking outside, waiting to ambush Lenoch. Lenoch shows no mercy and delivers a final blow, ending his life. But just as Lenoch prepares to leave, the once defeated werewolf unexpectedly awakens. Without hesitation, Lenoch strikes Giles down with a lethal blow. With the immediate threats dealt with, Lenoch turns his attention to examining Grimes' staff, curious about any potential benefits it may hold. Stepping outside, he discovers his team members still locked in combat against the gang. With a witty quip and a mischievous smile, Lenoch makes a swift decision to lend a hand to his team members before continuing on to fulfill his quest. As the gang members catch sight of Lenoch, poised to unleash another one of his lightning tricks, they realize their leader and mage have been defeated. With no point in continuing their futile mission, they all make a wise choice, running away for dear life. In the end, Lenoch notices the fire mage lying motionless, seemingly dead. It dawns on him that the mage might have pushed himself to the brink of death. Lenoch, feeling relieved that the mage fulfilled his duty, no longer feels the need to threaten him. Instead, he approaches the mage to offer a compliment and casually tosses aside Grimes' seemingly useless staff. With the gang defeated, Lenoch's team rejoices in their victory. However, Lenoch quickly realizes just how exhausted he is after such a grueling battle. The fight has truly taken its toll on him. They spend another uneventful day at the storage house, preparing for the final day. Lenoch finds himself alone, with one last objective, delivering the sample to the patent office. But before he can enter the office, he encounters the district representative, who seems to have been anxiously awaiting his arrival all along. With a humorous remark and a sense of anticipation, Lenoch prepares to face this representative and take the next step on his quest-filled journey. Lenoch takes a well-deserved break for a week, focusing on maintaining a healthy lifestyle because, hey, surviving as a mage is no easy task. He eats nutritious food and catches up on some much-needed sleep. He also hunts for a part-time job, but alas, none seem to pique his interest. Patience, my friend. A good opportunity will come knocking when the time is right. Speaking of opportunities, Jenny contacts him, asking if he's ready for another quest. However, Lenoch knows he needs more rest and research before diving into a new adventure. Thus, off he goes to the library once again. With a clear purpose in mind, Lenoch delves into books on summoning magic and spirit arts. He hopes to find strategies and tactics to enhance his fighting skills. Unfortunately, he stumbles upon nothing particularly helpful for his long-term goals. Bummer, right? Suddenly, Eris barges in, exclaiming that she thinks Lenoch has been rotting away in the library for a whole month. Ouch. Apparently, Lenoch isn't as famous as he thought. Eris is salty because he never came to see her after she graciously gave him her card. Looks like Lenoch needs to work on his socializing skills. To add salt to the wound, Eris disapproves of Lenoch dabbling in spirit arts, claiming it's all about luck. Well, if Lenoch were an ordinary person, her advice would be valid, but luckily for him, he's not. Lenoch's luck seems to be dwindling as Eris sits down to lecture him on magic. However, to his surprise, he finds himself genuinely enjoying her lectures and thinking she's actually a decent person. Talk about a quick change of heart. Lenoch, true to his stubborn nature, refuses to introduce himself to Eris. Yet, she extends an invitation for him to learn magic from her every week. Well, looks like Lenoch just scored himself a free tutor. Who says magic education can't be fun and budget-friendly? Lenoch attempts to dodge Eris's persistent tutoring offer, but she proves to be as stubborn as a mule and leaves with a determined look, ensuring they'll meet at the library next week. She's a strange woman, no doubt about it. It seems she marches to the beat of her own drum. As he walks out of the library, Lenoch contemplates how to prepare himself for his weekly encounters with Eris. She sees him as an amateur eager to learn magic, so maybe he should keep his impressive skills on the down low when he's around her. Later, Lenoch meets Jenny at the bar, and she drops a bombshell. His name is registered on the deep web. Apparently, it takes an average person 10 months to achieve that dubious distinction. Well, Lenoch is clearly an exception, thanks to his extraordinary talents. Seizing the opportunity, Lenoch shares his request for future quests with Jenny. He wants quests related to inherent magic or rare and special types of drugs. He knows it'll make the quest more challenging, but he needs the money to buy that much needed stimonia. Hearing about Lenoch's financial woes, Dylan chimes in and reveals a job that mercenaries take on to earn some extra cash. It turns out the city government is offering rewards for hunting down beasts in the undeveloped districts. Lenoch's interest is piqued, so he decides to try his luck there. To his dismay, Lenoch discovers that the quest requires a team of 4 people. As someone who prefers working alone, this rattles his nerves a bit. But hey, the reward is tempting, so he reluctantly sets aside his lone wolf attitude for now. As Lenoch joins forces with Miguel, Erickson, and Claria, he quickly notices their matching outfits. It's like they planned a synchronized fashion show instead of a beast hunting mission. Lenoch hopes they don't expect him to join their fashion parade. With a hint of disappointment, Lenoch realizes that his teammates can only reinforce themselves with mana. He hopes they won't cramp his lightning style or get in his way. After all, there's only room for one dazzling mage in this group. As they make their way to the undeveloped district, Lenoch reveals his lightning magic prowess. The team's reaction? Well, let's just say it's a mix of hesitation and surprise. Perhaps they were expecting a mage with a more flamboyant image or a penchant for sparkly outfits. Miguel, feeling unsure about working with Lenoch, decides it's better to go solo. He separates himself from the group and walks away, leaving Lenoch to wonder if he just dodged a lightning bolt-shaped bullet. Meanwhile, Miguel contemplates his decision, pondering if he let go of a potentially powerful mage due to his own foolishness. Oh well, there's no use crying over spilled mana potions. As Lenoch focuses on the task at hand, he manages to take down one of the beasts. But oh joy, the universe seems to have a wicked sense of humor as black dogs arrive, ready to make his job even more rough. It's a real canine conundrum. With his lightning crackling and a smirk on his face, Lenoch knows he's in for a wild ride. Lenoch, prepared to face the black dogs, unleashes his gravity-binding magic upon them, but they are not amused. One of the dogs lunges at him, only to be met with a fierce thunderbolt that sends it flying. Lenoch proves once again that he's got the moves to match his lightning bolts. Taking down 5 beasts in just a few minutes, Lenoch contemplates the lucrative nature of this beast hunting gig. It's a quick way to make some coin, but he definitely doesn't see himself doing it long term. After all, there's only so much excitement one can derive from electrocuting creatures. However, Lenoch realizes that the beasts in this district are no pushovers. They possess incredible speed and power, making it clear why working in groups was recommended. But who needs teamwork when you're a one-made show? After a short break, Lenoch sets his sights on the next target. His plan? Eliminate 15 more beasts and rake in enough cash to finally buy that coveted stimonia. With his lightning skills, he estimates it'll only take him a couple of days to reach his goal. Approaching an abandoned building, Lenoch senses a presence inside. He feels a distinct sense of déjà vu, reminiscent of the sniper who fled from him during the Taylor incident. Curiosity piqued, he employs a detection spell to locate the mysterious person. To his surprise, It's a girl who scampers away as soon as she spots Lenoch. Ah, the classic reaction of someone who's just encountered a lightning mage. The girl, feeling fortunate to escape Lenoch's spell, makes the not-so-wise decision to flee once again. Lenoch, undeterred, follows after her, listening to her incessant screaming and profanity. Not exactly the most charming introduction, is it? Baffled by the girl's inability to comprehend why she provoked his ire, Lenoch points out that running away when caught hiding doesn't exactly paint her in the best light. As a last resort, he brandishes his gun, hoping to coax some answers out of her. To his surprise, she starts shrieking Dylan's name, leaving Lenoch momentarily taken aback. It turns out she's just an ordinary mercenary associated with Dylan, and she insists that she was merely nearby and wanted to steer clear of the fight. Hence, her desperate escape attempt. Lenoch, intrigued, discovers that people can evade mana detection if they possess druid charms. It's a plausible explanation, one that he begrudgingly accepts. Naturally, he decides to call up Jenny to verify the girl's claims, and once satisfied, he releases her. Her name is Camilla, but given that she already knows Lenoch, he's spared the fake niceties of a formal introduction. At this juncture, Camilla proposes a way to eliminate a group of beasts if Lenoch lends her a hand. The offer gives him pause, and he contemplates the pros and cons of accepting her proposition. After all, it's not every day someone offers you a shortcut to beast slaying. Camilla's offer to split the reward evenly catches Lenoch off guard, but his natural knack for negotiation kicks in as he boldly proposes a 70% share for himself. The poor girl is left stunned by his audacity, but Lenoch's charm ultimately persuades her to settle for a 60% split. Looks like Camilla has learned a thing or two about bargaining. As they set off, Lenoch suggests heading to the Vagrants area, where the contaminated beasts are likely to lurk. To his surprise, Camilla reveals that she actually knows the current whereabouts of the Vagrants, a hidden gem of information that sets her apart from being just another tag-along. Who knew she had hidden talents? The duo patiently waits at the designated spot, anticipating the arrival of the beasts. Suddenly, they spot a group of about 18 mercenaries approaching. Lenoch's keen eye catches sight of Miguel and his team leading the pack, and he can't help but relish the prospect of a reunion. Miguel, displaying his usual arrogance, demands that Lenoch and Camilla vacate the area since his team had apparently claimed it first. Camilla, unable to resist a sarcastic retort, snickers and questions the sanity behind such a ludicrous suggestion. Looks like Miguel might have met his match in wit. Camilla, unyielding in her stance, refuses to budge from their spot, reminding the mercenaries that nobody can claim ownership over the land. She unleashes her fiery temper and threatens them with swift retribution. Just when tensions are about to escalate, a new character named Marin steps forward with a polite request. Marin courteously asks if the entire group of mercenaries can rest in the area for a while, leaving Lenoch with a strong urge to escape the unfolding political drama. However, Camilla manages to convince him to stay as the presence of the approaching beasts becomes apparent to everyone. As Lenoch scrutinizes the situation, he becomes suspicious that the coordinated attack of the 20 beasts might be orchestrated by Marin. Fueled by his suspicions, Lenoch decides to take charge of the beasts, while Camilla bravely charges to the front with her trusty shotgun. Employing his cunning, Lenoch manages to drown the remaining mercenaries into a sinkhole, causing them to tumble down without a warning. In a mischievous twist, he disrupts their mana with a well-timed spell, failing their plans of escape. Unfortunately, Marin catches on to Lenoch's tricks, and his displeasure is evident. Lenoch's electrifying display of lightning magic leaves the mercenaries stupefied, their mouths wide open. Just as the beasts recover from the electrical shock therapy, a sinkhole takes center stage, and Marin, the master of vanishing acts, makes a grand entrance. The mercenaries exchange bewildered glances, their expressions screaming, "Should we applaud or run for cover?" But fear not, for our determined mercenaries managed to escape the clutches of the sinkhole, emerging with faces that could rival the sourness of a forgotten pickle. Miguel, in particular, seems to have discovered a secret stash of lemons, a bitter reminder of lost opportunities. As the dust settles, Marin reappears, a mischievous grin plastered across his face. He offers Lenoch a business card from his company, signaling an end to their argument over who gets to slay the beasts. Ah, the art of resolving conflicts with a piece of paper. Later, armed with his precious stash of Stimonia, Lenoch bids farewell to Camilla, who playfully hints at a future visit. Our mage can't help but wonder if the Stimonia will work wonders or turn him into a jittery squirrel. Oh, the suspense! How is Stimonia going to help Lenoch and his magical capabilities? Is he going to enjoy his lessons with Eris, or he'd rather just leave her forced mentorship? How is he going to find more quests on the deep web? We can't wait to find out in the next chapters. If you're a subscriber with notification enabled, you'll find out soon enough.